on, guys? It's your boy John the Liquidator coming back with another video. Now we have the Cleveland Browns media actually contradicting each other and pretty much not knowing what the hell is going on. Now we know that the Browns, one of the Browns owner, operating partner, I should say, went on ESPN Cleveland about a week or two ago and spoke about the quarterback battle. Now I'm here to tell you, in that interview, we reported on it that he was insinuating that Deshaun Watson was going to be the starter. Now, we then heard Mary Kay come out and do her little bedazzle, say that he's going to be the starter. Well, now Mary Kay singing a totally different tune. Me personally, I feel like Mary Kay singing a different tune because the Cleveland Browns front office is stepping in and telling Mary Kay she's probably doing too much. Because I'm here to tell you, she has been single-handedly conducting a lot of the drama that has been surrounding this ball club. If it's a negative report, if it's locker room drama, whatever it is, Mary Kay Cabot is the ringleader behind it all. I think we all could agree with that it's what she's been putting out that has been allowing a lot of this rhetoric that has been coming on online. Now, with that being said, this was ESPN Cleveland this morning letting us know, don't shoot the messenger. Let's listen to exactly what they had to say. I'm about to blow.
I think, though, he's talking about SHEDEUR's, response to what's being reported and where the competition stands and all of those social posts that we saw last week. And, Tony, I think it would serve SHEDEUR well to not jump into that fray. But, ultimately how they play and how they compete against each other is going to tell most of the story. And I think it's safe to say, that Deshaun, it sounds like from what, I don't know, the managing partner of the Browns comes in here and tells us, it sounds like they're leaning towards playing Deshaun Watson, which, good luck. I think both guys are going to play because I don't think Deshaun can stay healthy for more than a month. And that would almost be my advice to both of them. Do your best, but both of you are going to have an opportunity to be a part of this menagerie, so stay ready.
We'll learn more during when OTAs start up on May 19th, we'll get a peek at it at the first one on May 20th, and we'll get a better read on where things stand at that position.
Mary Kay was one of the people that was pushing this Deshaun Watson narrative. Now, she did a podcast the other day pretty much saying that she don't know who is going to be, was signaling to me that Mary Kay might be in a little hot water. Let's listen to this right now.
14 losing teams. They only played 3 teams last year that had winning records. 3. I mean, that's mind-blowing. But of the 14 losing teams, 5 of them went 8-9. So those teams are right on the cusp. Those teams are right on the cusp of challenging, perhaps, for the playoffs this year, right? It's not like there's a bunch of 2-win teams and 3-win teams. There's a significant amount of teams that won 8 games, and that's a lot. And then you've got a couple new quarterbacks. You've also got 3 quarterbacks that were rookies last year that maybe they're ready to take a little bit of a step up. Talking about Cam Ward and Jackson Dart and Tyler Shook. So those guys might be better in their second year. By rights, they should be better as sophomores than they were as rookies. So there's that. And there are, I think, 6 new head coaches that we're talking about. So when you go to New York and you play the Giants, you're going to be playing a really tough, well-coached Giants football team. And you just know that heading in. It's John Harbaugh. And he's got the Browns number. He's always had the Browns number. So we'll see if he still has the Browns number when he's got second-year quarterback Jackson Dart up there starting for him instead of Joe Flacco and then Lamar Jackson. We'll have to see how that goes. I haven't completely studied all the additions yet of all these opponents that they're playing, but I'm sure everybody went out and added some good pass rushers and some good receivers and other really, really good players, and they just didn't stand pat with the records that they had last year. So you can't necessarily say that is the best indicator of strength of schedule. Now, Warren Sharp of sharp football analysis, he does it differently. He does it based on the Vegas odds makers' projected win totals of your opponents. And in the Warren Sharp world, the Browns have the 4th easiest schedule. So still easy, but a little bit tougher going by his metric. And then once again, as you mentioned, you just never really quite know how a team is going to make a leap the next year.
Yeah, and even by that metric, I mean, the Browns I think their win total is like 6.5. So
Right.
by that metric, that's telling you that, people are thinking the Browns aren't going to be very good next year. And,
Right.
I just kind of keep coming back to this. I think that point about, some of these teams who didn't have winning records last year, sort of who they might be this year. Are we sure Cincinnati's only going to be a 6-win team? You look at Indianapolis, Daniel Jones ruptured his Achilles. That kind of they were competing for the AFC South title at the time. So I don't know. There might be 3 really good teams in the AFC South if Daniel Jones kind of repeats what he did last year. Like New Orleans, I watched this team go down to New Orleans and lose to a bad New Orleans team a couple years ago. So that's the one thing that always just sort of gives me pause is, I try to look at the football team, at the Cleveland Browns first, and what I think of the Cleveland Browns before I start to say, oh, the Giants stink, that's a win, or the Saints stink, that's a win. How much do I trust the quarterback situation? I think the defense is going to be good, football team yet, and there's a reason that some of these other teams are seeing the Cleveland Browns on their schedule and saying, oh, that's a win. And I don't think the Browns are going to be an easy guaranteed win this year, even though they're a 5-win team from last year.
Right. We don't know. There are so many unknowns with the Browns. I think the biggest thing in my mind when I look at the Cleveland Browns, especially on the offensive side of the ball, is how young they are. So young. I mean, I talked about it on here before, but Quinshawn, Dylan Sampson, Harold Fannin from last year, heading into only their second year. And now you're going to add to that. And Isaiah Bond, right? Now you're going to add to that KC Concepcion, the rookies, Denzel Boston, Spencer Fano, and then probably Parker Brailsford at center. So that's a lot of young guys on a brand new offense. So we cannot sit here and say, oh, well, they're going to beat the Jets. Of course they're going to beat the Jets. No, they have to go to New York to beat the Jets.
Right. And we sat there and watched them lose to the Jets because of 2 weird special teams, right? Like 2 bad special teams plays. That's how quickly we saw them lose to the Titans last year because of a weird 2-point call. Like that's just that's how close these games can be.
Right. And once again, we don't even know who the quarterback of the Cleveland Browns is going to be yet. So it's really hard to predict what might happen as this schedule comes out. But I do think that it does work in their favor to have, by 2 different metrics, one of the easiest schedules in the NFL. It's going to help. I mean, it beats having to face, the 12 playoff teams from last year or whatever, So there you go.
It makes a difference. I mean, it obviously makes a difference. We see it every year, and some of the years when the Browns have had success, that's been a part of it. But it's the old, you got to go play the games. You don't play them on paper, and who knows? A lot of it depends on. This is why the schedule release is interesting to me, because even though we know the opponents, it's always interesting to kind of play the game of, okay, you get this team on short rest, or you're playing this really good team later in the schedule. So who knows what if their quarterback's out? What if, there's just so many variables. So that's why I think the schedule release is still interesting, even though we already know who they're going to play. Finding out when can be interesting. Christian in Hudson wants to know this. Hey, Mary Kay, are the Browns likely doomed to the dreaded 1 p.m. time slot for all games this season, considering they have no West Coast trips